Buenos dias, señoritas y señoritos. And to our friends abroad, buenas noches, good evening, buenas tardes, good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to discuss an issue na medyo napabayaan natin. This pertains to the investigation on the criminal activities of Kingdom of Jesus Christ leader, head pastor, Apollo Quiboloy. Marami po sa inyo nagtatanong, Sir, bakit tumahimik wala na kayong report, wala na kayong update sa kaso ni Quiboloy? Interesado po kami dyan. Meron po tayo update dyan. In fact, mahalaga po ito. And this is an answer to your question na kailan ba i-extradite si Quiboloy ng Amerika? Alam naman natin na wanted siya ng Federal Bureau of Investigation, pero kailan ba talaga siya ma-extradite? Many of you are already dying for him to see him extradited. Pero ang question muna dyan is ma-extradite kaya siya? Gagawin kaya yan ng Amerika? What will America gain from this undertaking? So yan po, ipe-play ko po sa inyo ang kasagutan dyan. Yung last recent Senate investigation by the committee of headed by Senator Riza Ontiveros. At dyan po, diniscuss nila. Very, very good discussion. Try to understand it na lang po very well kasi it involves international law. Pero if you have questions and you have doubts whether posible ba siya ma-extradite, panoorin nyo po hanggang sa huli itong video na ipe-play natin. Pero in summary lang po, yes, sinabi ng mga legal minds natin on international law, lalo na yung mga opisyalis po ng Department of Foreign Affairs na obligatory po, not optional ang implementation ng extradition treaty, ha? At kaya lang sabi nila it will have to take time. Kasi ayaw pabilisin ng mga American courts dahil may mga delaying tactics rin yung mga lawyers ni Quiboloy. At yung US daw dapat mag-initiate dito at sabi nga ni Undersecretary Vega ng DFA, meron daw tayo reciprocity. Yung kung anong gagawin natin sa Amerika, dapat gagawin rin ng Amerika sa atin. At because of this, ibigay ko na lang po sa inyo muna ng background dito sa reciprocity. Kung anong in-expect nating gagawin tayo para sa kanila, gawin nila sa atin. So far po, dalawang kaso na ang gumalaw at dalawang cases na ng mga Amerikano ang natulungan na implement po natin itong extradition treaty. Kaya they are not only because may treaty tayo, but they are duty bound to reciprocate or gawin rin yung ginawa natin sa kanila. Kung maalala nyo po, dalawang kaso. Yung kaso ni naalala nyo na una po yung 205, yung si Daniel Smith, yung kasong rape. Pinagbigyan po natin after na convict siya dito for rape, ganon. Yung si alias Nicole, at binayaran daw ata yung pamilya nun at pinapunta pa sa Amerika, na settle doon kasi yun ang hiningi ng pamilya na napapunta po siya sa Amerika. Pinabalik siya doon na niya sineserve yung sentence niya, the remaining sentence. So kahit papaano, American jail yun, mabibisita siya ng mga kamag-anak niya, at alam naman natin yung jail natin dito parang nasa kwan ka na, nasa purgatory, or nasa kwan ka na, hell ka na, sa yung mga kwan natin, yung mga kulungan natin dito, napaka-congested, mabaho, ang pagkain parang kain baboy, ganon, pinamaltrato ka pa ng mga kapwa prisonero mo, pati ng mga guards. So malaking bagay po yun, extradite siya. And then ito rin po yung kaso ni 2020, yung Daniel Scott Pemberton. Si Scott Pemberton pala po, Scott Pemberton, na pumatay rin po yung kay transgender Jennifer Laude. At after serving time din po dito, at napardon siya ni President Duterte, at na-deport rin siya sa Amerika in 2020. So, kumaga, ngayon, i-expect rin yung mga Amerikano na kung may nabibiktima rin dyan. Kasi dyan naman hindi lang mga Ukrainian, karamihan mga Pilipina ang naabuso dyan sa Amerika, na rape at na molest sa mga center niya, ng kulto niya, sa ilan centers niya dyan sa Amerika. So, in-expect rin natin na i-extradite nila si Quiboloy dyan to face justice. So, kumbaga, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. Ganon. So, very sure po talaga tayo na ma-extradite siya if you watch this video. So, ipa-play na po natin. So, thank you very much for watching. And please share this vlog to friends and relatives, lalo na doon sa nagtatanong, kailan ba ma-extradite? Posible ba ma-extradite si Quiboloy? And don't forget to tell them to subscribe to the Vlogcaster Armadin YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next vlog.
Victim survivors. Ang mga tanong ko naman po sa Department, Yusek De Vega, are with respect to an interpretation of the 1994 Extradition Treaty between the United States and the Philippines. First, tama po bang interpretation nitong treaty that each contracting party is obligated to extradite to the other any person charged or any person convicted of an extraditable offense na tinitreat po dito sa Article 1 ng treaty. So kumbaga po, hindi po ito optional. Ito ay obligatory. Tama po bang interpretation iyon, Yusek?
Madam, no. The issue about extradition is the country being requested extradition can refuse for various reasons. One, for example, traditionally, if you ask for the extradition of their own citizen, for example, a U.S. citizen back to the Philippines, or a Filipino citizen to the U.S., you can refuse. However, it would depend on how the court processes go, no? Also, may mga requirements po yan. Kailangan walang death penalty. Isa pa, the crime for which the person's extradition is being requested has to be a crime in both countries. So I'm pretty sure in the United States, human trafficking and these sexual offenses are, of course, I'm sure, crimes in any state of the Union. However, it's not our country which will tell the United States, in this case, ask for his extradition. We will give him to you, but ask for the extradition. They have to be the ones to go for the extradition. This one goes through our courts. What ang role ng DFA dyan is to make sure that the documentary requirements and the format are correct, and then we endorse it to the DOJ for action. And we have, in the past, used this extradition treaty to extradite people to the U.S. or vice versa.
Salamat, Yusek. Also for noting that it has to be the the country itself in which the offenses were allegedly committed and where the person is charged, who would have to require the extradition. And that's relevant because, as Mr. Wood, for example, mentioned, the NBI is already aware of the person complained about by our victim survivors at may information na subject talaga ng active investigation. And in fact, nasa wanted list. Pangalawa po, Yusek, tamang interpretation ba ng treaty na all extraditable offenses except for political offenses are covered? And by extraditable offenses po, we mean offenses that are punishable, as the good Yusek said, under the laws of both contracting parties by deprivation of liberty for more than 1 year, which for example would be the case sa Expanded Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act. So tama po bang interpretation yun? All except political offenses are covered.
Tama po. There is the tradition for people whose crimes are being prosecuted to claim that it's for political reasons why the extradition is being requested. But in this case or others, I'm pretty sure if the extradition is requested, it will be because of sexual trafficking. No, political offenses would include, for example, going against the host government or making critical remarks and so forth. No? By the way, Senator, I would like to take this opportunity to say that another way that we help dito is to provide legal assistance in case there's a case abroad filed. And of course, in this particular case, our consulate in Chicago, thanks to, in response to your request, notarized her statement kay Ms. Stone, I believe, and although she was in Minnesota, and I hope it was not difficult for Ms. Stone to rely on the service of her consulate in Chicago, of course.
In fact, again, the chair would like to express the committee's gratitude to our consulate in Chicago for, again, assisting our victim survivors like Ms. Stone and the committee in inquiring into these serious complaints in aid of legislation. Did you want to raise a point or a question, Minority Leader?
I was once upon a time at the chair of the Foreign Relations Committee, so I also had an extradition treaty concurred in by the Senate. But that was with Russia, and one, ano lang, just for the information of everybody, the Russian Constitution prohibits the extradition of their citizens. Ganun yan. So, kaya ang tanong sa akin sa floor, then why? Then why are we entering into this extradition treaty with Russia? Meron pa rin practical, it's the largest country in the world. Therefore, ang laki ng Russian territory. A person wanted in the Philippines for a crime could be hiding in Russian territory. But that person should be a non-Russian citizen. So yun, ganun po yun. So marami pong mga rito sa extradition. So case to case yan. So we have to look at our specific treaty with the United States kung ano yung mga mechanics po rito. But ngayong mga ganong bansa, and since People's Initiative naman at Chacha na rin ang pinag-uusapan, pag-isipan din natin yung our insight from our Russian counterparts. Ganun yung rule po nila. Sabi ko sa interpellation dito sa Senate, wala po tayong magagawa kasi even by treaty, the Russians cannot violate their own constitution. So yun yung limitations of that extradition treaty with Russia. Okay. So just ano lang para lang for our overall information and education.
If I may comment.
Salamat kaayo, Minority Leader. Yes, Yusek De Vega.
Salamat kayo. No? Daghang salamat. But there is a purpose for that treaty pa rin. As you said, sir, if the Filipino is wanted here and is in Russia, or vice versa, if a Russian is facing a crime, a criminal charge in Russia, we have to extradite him. But remember, sometimes it works on reciprocity. We have only a few extradition treaties. Indonesia we have, with Thailand we have, Hong Kong, with Spain, Russia, US, Canada as well. So if, for example, not mentioning any of those countries, but let's say we ask for extradition of their own citizen to our country. Not Russia kasi bawal nga. And they don't. Next time they ask us extradition of Filipino naman, we won't. That's how diplomacy works sometimes on reciprocity. In this case, that's not the issue. We're talking about the Filipino citizen.
Thank you very much, Yusek De Vega. And Minority Leader, kasi habang nag-uusap tayo ng mga related issues or cases, na-enrich yung understanding natin of how these instruments such as extradition treaties can help to bring justice to women and children seeking justice from their aggressors. So, in point of fact, Senior State Counsel Quintana, meron na po bang extradition request in this case?
Madam Chair, as of today, because we asked before we left the office, we have not received the request for the extradition of Mr. Quiboloy. And if I may just add, Madam Chair, in the Philippine-US extradition treaty, nationality is not a ground for refusal. So, because as Senator Pimentel mentioned earlier, it varies from treaty to treaty. But in the case of the Philippines-US extradition, nationality is not a ground for refusal.
So salamat Senior State Counsel Mary Grace for confirming na wala pang extradition request in this case, and then further enriching yung understanding natin sa how extradition treaties variously work between our country and various other countries. Salamat po. Still continuing with actually, it's a point already begun to be addressed by Yusek De Vega. So if sexual trafficking is covered by the laws of both jurisdictions, as is the case here, sa ini-inquire namin, investiga namin, and punishable by more than 1 year, and gaya ng nabanggit ng check-in, it is, then extraditable offense. Tama po ba?
Po.
And sa huli po, Yusek De Vega, tamang interpretasyon po ba ng treaty na bar to extradition is when the person sought has been tried and convicted or acquitted in the requested state for the same offense. So, in reverse, kung walang conviction or acquittal, then extradition would have to proceed. Tama po ba?
That is based not just in the text of treaties, but we have a law on extradition. So it provides some basic principles to apply for. So that's it. However, again, in this case, we take note of Mr. Wood's statement, and he doesn't claim to be the chief resource person for this, but that he doesn't think that this will be the way to go because, he said that the U.S. might not be interested, but in pursuing the case, but that's necessary for them to make the extradition request. And the DFA will look at the request. If it is in order, DOJ decides. At hindi basta-basta rin yung the DOJ will say, okay, huliin yung tao, dalhin. No, it has to be through a court process as well. My court case for that, where the person to be extradited can, present his side as to why he should not be extradited. So it's also a complicated process. Sometimes it might take years or over a year to extradite somebody. Yeah.
Salamat, Yusek De Vega. I guess dahil naglakas loob na rin yung ating mga victim survivors na sa kabila ng lahat ng trauma nila, luha, takot, that they have helped the committee to begin this process. I guess maglalaan sila nung panahon, and I'm just happy na yung committee namin was honored by your presence and participation, lahat ng resource persons, to meet them halfway. So salamat para doon. And lastly sa DSWD, so it will be ASEC Falyarcuna. So nadinig na nga po namin yung testimony ni Elias Jerome na pinatigil siya mag-aral, pinagbenta ng kung ano-ano, ginawang tagalimos. What criminal liabilities attach to those who force children, minors, to beg on the streets. Di ba violation din po yan ng RA 7610, Section 10 naman na other acts of abuse ang beg or use begging as a means of living, ASEC?
Good morning, Madam Chair, and good morning, Senator Pimentel. First of all, Madam Chair, the DSWD fully support the inquiry of this committee to this particular incident and scenario. For the question, Madam Chair, without preempting also the evaluation that will be conducted by the DOJ, there are various cases that can fall under child abuse, and for in particular the begging of a minor, we can also, it falls also under anti-mendicancy law. And of course, Madam Chair, when we work with children talaga, we should assure that their rights are not being abused. So rest assured, Madam Chair, that the Department of Social Welfare and Development, as co-chair also of the Interagency Council Against Trafficking, will closely work with the Department of Justice regarding this matter, so that while we are conducting the investigation, the rights and the welfare of those victim survivors will be also upheld. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Salamat, ASEC Elaine, also for mentioning the IACAT, one of this committee's favorite interagency bodies to work with dahil talagang napakamatulungin at responsive at nagiging mabunga po in these various investigations on the rights of women, children, and other individuals against trafficking. Minority Leader, meron po ba kayong ibang mga tanong o points bago isuspend? Okay. Salamat din sa presensya ni ASEC Benitez ng DILG. So if I could just ask you a quick question in relation sa pinag-usapan namin ni ASEC Elaine ng DSWD. Paano po mas mahusay na ma-monitor ng DILG at ng ating mga LGUs yung mga begging activities?
Well, basically, we have two components that will probably establish a connection of privity or participation by the department. Now, the department basically has an attached agency, which is the PNP, and all violations or criminal activities are placed under the umbrella and under the function of the Philippine National Police, which is, of course, an agency under the baton and under the authority of the secretary. And of course, we cannot also set aside the authority of the department now over the local government units. Now, the secretary exercises a degree of delegated power of supervision of the president, now which the secretary can use in order to direct all the local government units and all their officials to probably respect the rights of our minors, our children, now who are being subjected to forced labor, exploitation, and all other acts that will lead or translate into the degradation of the development of our children. So on those particular levels, I think the department can be very, very helpful and instrumental. Madam Chair and the Honorable Minority Floor Leader.
Yes, Senator Coco.
Madam Chair, thank you for opening up that topic. Actually, in all humility, that is one issue na medyo litong-lito pa rin ako hanggang ngayon. Who has the responsibility of taking care of those begging in our streets, adults man or adults with using children as their props? Na parating allegation nasa likod yan mga sindikato, kaya tuloy hindi ka dapat magbigay kasi you're encouraging the syndicate. Pero nandiyan sila kanino talagang maybe the DOJ can help me as a lawyer and then DILG. Is that a national concern or a local concern? Pag sinabi ko national concern, may DSWD ba rito? Should be called the attention of the DSWD na sa dami na ginagastos, gawa na lang sila ng halfway house na pwedeng mag-i-house temporarily yung mga nandun until maayos ang status nila, saan sila galing, ano bang family nila, so can I get the opinion, Madam Chair, of three agencies which I trust, whose expertise I will defer to and trust, so DILG, DOJ, and DSWD. Kung pwede si ASEC Benitez, sir.
Yes, please, Asek Benitez.
Well, thank you very much, the Honorable Minority Floor Leader. Well, my humble submission tells me that this is both a national and local concern. Yes, Your Honors. Now, national in the sense that the department, in particular the DILG or even the DSWD, can primarily extend their assistance to those victims of illegalities involving our youngsters and our children. Now, the local government units are also parenthetically involved. Why? Now, because these local government units and their officials should ensure that laws are being strictly followed. Now, we have laws on the anti-mendicancy law. Now, we have laws on protecting our children, now like the Public Act 7610. And it is really disheartening that some of our local government officials tend to become oblivious and complacent now with respect to the proper implementation of these laws. And for me, now this should gravitate now towards calling their attention and even directing them by no less than the President or even by the Department Secretary now to see that these laws are being followed religiously and strictly. Halimbawa, si Mayor, hindi niya pinapatupad itong 7610, then that can be a potential source of administrative responsibility. Now, lawyers are guided by the liability of our public officers on three tired. They can be liable criminally, civilly, and even administratively. So the mere defiance and their imperative divorce to implement these laws now could lead them into a possible responsibility. So I think LGUs should be very much involved here. And I always see the department as a very important source of calling the attention of these leaders in the local government units now to see to it that laws are being followed and especially ensure that the plight of our children are ensured to the fullest. Madam Chair and our Honorable Minority Floor Leader.
You, ASEC Benitez, can I get the DOJ's inputs lang? Opo.
State Council Mary Grace.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, can I just concur with this? No, but totally agree, sir, with the opinion of ASEC Benitez. It should go, both the national and the local government should work hand in hand with this. I understand if it would involve, I mean, our colleagues from DSWD and CWC can correct me on this. If it involves children, I'm thinking maybe more of the DSWD, and in the local government they have their own social workers. So I don't know how they can work together with the DSWD and the local social workers. So it really has to be an effort from both the national and the government sector, Mr. Chair. Thank you po.
Asik
Palyar
please.
Good morning again, Madam Chair and Senator Pimentel. I agree also. Both a responsibility of the national government and the local government. We would like to inform the committee, Madam Chair, that recently the Pag-abot program was institutionalized through EO 52. Yes, Senator. This creates the interagency committee chaired by the Department of Social Welfare and Development, and of course is strategically co-chaired or vice-chaired by the Department of Interior and Local Government, who has supervision to the local government unit. And I fully agree, Madam Chair, that protecting the rights of the children, even the women, are both a responsibility of the national and the local government. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. No? So, actually, sa experience ko sa gobyerno, isa yan sa mga problema natin, yung mga both. Eh. yung hindi klaro sino responsible, kaya magtuturuan eh. Siguro, that means from the inputs of our resource persons, Madam Chair, that means the ball is in our court actually. So, ibig sabihin nun na policy yan, klaruhin natin. There must be someone or some agency primarily responsible para on their toes parate yung agency na yun. Hindi kasi pwedeng, hindi, sila din eh. Pag sila natin na tuturo din kami eh. So, that's a big problem sa government system natin actually. Siyempre, ang ugat yan eh. Wala tayong political parties, wala tayong mga political philosophy na sinusunod. So, iba-ibang proposals, kaya nangyayari, puro accommodation, nagiging vote. Hindi, kuminsan nga, hindi siguro vote. Ano ba, pagkatatlo, ano ba, how do you refer kung tatlo na, apat na responsible, hindi na vote? But, multi-party. Okay, but at least, ang importanteng input yung kay Asik Benitez that yung citizen na nakikinig sa atin ngayon na medyo suyang-suya na siya sa situation na nakikita na ganyan na parang nakita niya walang action si nasyonal walang action si lokal Ang sinabi ni Asik Benitez sa atin, pwedeng umaksyon si citizen, kasuhan mo si lokal, DILG, local government code tayo. Problema si national, ano kayang makakaso natin kay national, but sa budget season na lang siguro kayo namin kakastiguhin Madam Chair. But at any rate, kita ng mga mata ko dito mismo lang sa dito lang mismo sa paglabas ng Senado kitang-kita na. So hindi ko alam sa mga ibang lugar na hindi naman ako masyado ng gala sa ibang lugar ng Pilipinas. So we have to fix this problem kasi kung both dalawa na lang nakatingin, dyan pa rin eh. So, it's not working. The both system is not working because built-in yung lusot turuan it's their responsibility. But at any rate, thank you for your inputs. That means nasa atin yung bola. We have to fix the system by clarifying. Parang parang PNP, sa problem namin noon sino yung primarily responsible, mahirap. But we have to designate some entity, institution, agency as primarily responsible. Otherwise, walang mangyayari. May mangyayari pero siguro hindi to our satisfaction. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Salamat po, Minority Leader, for that. I think it's an important insight at pwedeng maging kasama sa recommendations ng committee report natin to clarify as a matter of policy sino yung agency na solely or primarily responsible dito. At sa paggabay doon, salamat din kay Asik Benitez for that guidance, yung pagbibigay, pagtatampok nyo dun sa respecting the rights of children, which has been attempted, for example, in the juvenile justice law. And I really look forward to a more, not just comprehensive approach, but really a civilian, a social protection approach na hindi lang law enforcement perspective, halimbawa primarily under the PNP, but really the social protection perspective for our children, lalo na sa DSWD and of course sa ating local governments. So salamat po para sa discussion yun.